Welcome back to Beyond Chronic Burnout, the podcast where we help neurodivergent and disabled individuals, as well as everyday humans and organizations, move beyond the cycle of burnout by building environments that foster health, joy, and genuine connection. Each week, we dig into real life strategies to help you live your best life now. In today's episode, I'm joined by two of my dear friends who are remarkable advocates for neurodiversity and inclusion. AJ Locashio and Jessica Jahns of Umbrella Alliance US. AJ, a board certified coach and nonprofit founder, brings her lived experience as a multi neurodivergent individual and is known as the intersectional octopus for her ability to approach diversity and inclusion from all angles. Jessica, a data processing analyst and community connector. Y'all, she truly is. It's amazing what she does. She pairs her analytical mind with a love for human systems and social connection. Together, they're sharing insights on navigating burnout, finding fulfillment, and the importance of building interdependent, trust filled environments that celebrate neurodiversity. They even introduce a powerful tool, a quiz that helps organizations assess their neuro-inclusivity and start conversations that lead to change. So, if you're ready to discover how you can shift from burnout to fulfillment, create connections that matter, and make your workplace a haven for all minds, tune in today, stay with us, and join the conversation. Let's get started.
Step out of the shadows, feel the power rise. Catch the spark inside you, let your spirit fly. Beyond the chronic burnout, Carole Jeans your guide. Find your steady rhythm, nice joy on the tide. Flourish forward, bright and bold. Leave the burnout far behind. In this journey, hearts unfold. Yours, seek and find.
Jessica, AJ, welcome to the show. I am super excited to be talking all things possibilities, rethinking autistic contribution and work today with both of you. This has been one of those conversations I have been really excited about as we have been diving into all different elements and aspects of work and career this month in November. This is one that's near and dear to my heart because it's my own lived experience. How do we do this? How do we do this well? Because I think we can all raise our hand and go, this did not go well. We have a laundry list of, God, that was awful experiences. But you guys are bringing some amazing things to the conversation table today, and I can't wait to dive in with you. But before we start, because one of the things we love to do here at Whittington Wellbeing and on our Beyond Chronic Burnout podcast is to invite our guests to share so that we might hear something that was not necessarily something that we experienced, or maybe we experienced and no one's ever said it before, and you're going to share it. So I invite AJ, I'll start with you since you're in the top corner, and then we'll move on to Jessica. What has been your experience of burnout? How did it show up for you, and how did that feel?
So I've had multiple experiences, but I would say that those from when I was younger, they really came to a full stop. But everything came to a full stop in 2011 when I was diagnosed with cancer. And there is no doubt in my mind that the lack of support that I felt that I had, both at work and at home, and we know that home is work too. So this lack of support, this lack of community, this lack of friendships, this lack of anybody knowing me or understanding me, it just all came crushing in. And I was diagnosed with cancer, and I really took that as an opportunity to reassess everything. I was forced to not be able to go to work. I was, I was really forced to really look at my health and figure out what was going on. And I would, it didn't happen right away, but over several years, I started understanding that um, I understood burnout. I saw teachers burning out all of the time, but I knew that mine was different and for different reasons because I loved being at work. You know, I loved being in my classroom with my students. I loved it every minute. It was joyful. It was energy gaining. So it wasn't that. It was something else. There was something else going on. And over the years, I mean, this eventually led to us being here today with, Umbrella US and doing the work that we're doing, understanding how there was such a lack of community and a lack of connection that I had with other people that I was dying. And the messages that I got during that time were that people liked me better when I was dying than they liked me when I was happy and living. Because, people would say things like, "Oh, you look so good." They didn't know I had cancer, right? But they're like, "Oh, you look so good. You've lost so much weight. You look fantastic." And those things, even from your family, people who did know I had cancer, they would say those things. It was just another thing that proved to me that people did not like who I am authentically. You know, people didn't like fat AJ. Fat AJ was not a good person. Fat AJ was a bad person. Fat AJ was somebody who you couldn't be friends with. Fat AJ was somebody who wasn't smart, who didn't deserve a raise, who didn't get to have the, job that she wanted or the promotion. Um and all of that, all of those messages that you get, whether it's you're fat, you're weird, you know too much, you're a know-it-all, you don't know when to keep your opinion to yourself. Why do you care so much about everybody else? That kind of thing. Um, it does, it wears on you. And eventually if you don't get it and you don't do something about it, your body absolutely will. And mine did.
Your body will just force you to pay attention because it's like they say, they'll keep throwing little grains of sand and then a pebble, and the next thing you know, you keep ignoring it. You have got a boulder
Yep.
landing on the top of your head going, pay attention.
Yep.
Oh, that's so, so relatable. Thank you for sharing that, AJ.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to at
Jessica,
that point, I had to go out and find people
yes.
who appreciated me for who I really am. Once I
Well, I'm
did
one of
that,
those. I love you just the way you are.
absolutely. And once I was able to do that, it really made a big, big, big difference in my life.
It is amazing the transformation that happens internally, physically, mentally, all of the things when we find our people, our
Yeah.
community. And that's one of the things I adore about what you do with Umbrella. Thank you so much for that. Jessica, we're going to move the mic over to you, my friend.
Oh, my favorite, being on camera, talking about myself.
I love
So
that you did this with me, though. I really do appreciate it. I know it's not your favorite.
I know. I'm trying, I'm stretching, I'm exercising, I'm trying to get better with it myself. So I appreciate this opportunity. So um my burnout experience was pretty much a function of um, a direct and well preconceived and pre-understood change to my work environment at the office at my day job. Um, I had been working at the same company for about 15 years at the time, and we'd gone through a couple of different corporate buyouts, ownership changes and things like that. And what happened was they decided, whoever decided at the top that we needed to reconfigure the office to make it look, light and bright and cheery and, all of these things that everybody's supposed to love, right? And this was basically inflicted upon us, and it was money invested, so people were supposed to be all excited, and all the plans were disseminated and communicated and all of that stuff, and I knew immediately that it was going to be a huge challenge for me to continue to perform in my job. And there you go, AJ. You told me I was going to cry, and I'm already crying. So, um, it was it was told by my boss. He was like, I'm sure everything will be fine. We just have to wait and see how it goes. And it got to the point about in I don't know, less than a month of working in this new open office environment with just rows of desks. Um, that some modifications had been made. They did make it darker in one section and lighter in another section, but just all of the sensory stuff was just completely overwhelming. And at the time, I was not identified as autistic. I had no concept for any of the vocabulary or language that I've learned since then about what I was experiencing. And it took about 4 weeks for me to be spending hours per day in the ladies' room just crying. And I felt like crap. I felt terrible. I thought it was my fault because everyone around me seemed to be doing fine. And so I had been going to therapy. I had been talking stuff out, and I went to my therapist's office one afternoon, and I said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I guess I need to quit this job and figure out what happens after that, because I can't keep living this way. And I took a short quiz, and he was um, we had a long established relationship, like years. So, I know this is a big deal, people getting diagnosed, but I got diagnosed, and I got a paper to send to my HR, and it was supposed to get them to let me work from home a couple more days because I had asked for more work from home time just to get out of the office and try to keep myself productive. And it was denied because the manager just said, everybody hates the new office, so we're not going to give you special treatment to let you get out of the new office, basically. Um, so that was my initial brush, I guess, with burnout. And all of this happened about 6 months before the pandemic started. So as soon as that happened, 6 months later, we all went to work from home, and I haven't been back into the office since. I have the same job. So that's how quickly things can change. And I just wish I had been in a situation where I would have been heard, and I could have gotten what I needed, what I asked for, because I knew all along what that was, and I was communicating clearly. I was just not being listened to.
Jessica, you bring up something that in so many conversations that I have within our community, It's I'm being very clear. I'm communicating explicitly in detail, like probably over communicating. Most of us, I know I do. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I'm an over communicator. And the person on the other side, it's like Teflon. It just sliding right off. Or they'll grab a couple of pieces and then they jump to all these assumptions and make these different have these completely different understandings of what I was actually conveying very clearly. And it is so frustrating, especially when we're talking about the accommodations, the success enablers that are usually free and super simple to implement and really don't take a whole lot. And most of the time, they don't involve other people. I mean, it's usually really easy things, but somehow it's like we're asking for special treatment. Somehow, because I say, I need to work from home a couple of days, that's how I'm going to be at my optimum productivity and at my best to show up for the job that I've been hired to do. But instead, it's like, oh, no, no, no. Everybody's miserable. So suck it up, buttercup. We're all dealing with it. You can too, because I can. And it's that lens of I only see it through my own experience. And there's no possible way that this could be hurting you. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt Sally or Joe.
Well, not only that, but in my case, this was after a merger of two companies, and the company that I had originally been hired by already had a work from home program that I brought to the department years before that. And because of the merger, the other company that took over was like, oh, well, God, I guess we have to grandfather you people in who already work from home, but we don't want to allow our people to do that. So let's just slow walk all of this. But there were already people who were working from home full time, and I had had a work from home schedule in the past. So it had nothing to do with my ability to do the job from home or my drive to do the job from home or anything like that. It was simply a control thing.
You know, humans have this thing about it, don't they? Some humans, I don't know. I think certain humans are a little more obsessed with the control factor than like I tend to think we're a little bit more collaborative than that, but you know, y'all let me know. So, you two lovely humans are here to talk to us today about some really powerful things. And the first topic that we have here, and let me see here. How do I move us around? Hang on a second. Huh. No, well, I guess this is just how it works. It is not that. Okay. I was trying to spread us out more evenly. Oh, well, we'll just go with it. But the first, I guess, discussion topic for us today as we dive into this is from burnout to fulfillment. All right, ladies, take it away. Let us have it. Give me the goodness.
I'm going to start on this one, AJ.
I was just getting ready to say, come on, Jessica. I know you have so much to say here.
Well, I do. So, after that incident and during the pandemic, I really took the upheaval, the chaos, the like, I don't know. It felt when the pandemic happened and things started flipping out around the world that I just really stepped back and thought about the opportunity. It became really clear to me right away that nothing in the world was going to be the same after that moment. And I really wanted to be super introspective about that. And so I started writing regularly. I had a friend help me create a blog because I couldn't, despite working in tech, I couldn't figure out how to, design something to put it out there. And she was awesome, another person who helps enable me to do something that I wouldn't have otherwise done. And so all through the pandemic, I was writing and just exploring and putting some thoughts and ideas out there. And my sleep schedule, I adjusted that. I followed my curiosity about myself and um, all of the different things that I was involved in. There was a period of time that, I play in a band, that my band was not meeting because we couldn't be inside together, right? And then through some summers, we had some outside, very informal practices because there were no performances or anything. It was just a matter of like, how do we maintain our community, maintain our connection, and keep playing? Um, anyway, a number of different things that I changed just slowly through following my curiosity and following what made me feel better. Um, and it took a long time, and I mean, I don't feel like I'm even close to being done with that process or done evolving in that way. But the results that have happened so far are that I took my investment in my day job and I reduced it. Um, I reduced my hours from what was, I don't know, 40, 45, 50 hours a week down to 30 to 35 hours a week. And that was at a financial cost to myself. I'm an hourly employee. So I basically I cut my opportunity for overtime. I am fortunate to work at a place that still gives full-time benefits down to 30 hours a week, but I've restricted myself on purpose, very intentionally. And, that means I get paid about 75% what I did before. Um, and along with that, there were budgetary constraints, there were all these things that I tried to um, cut down on. Like, do I really need this, or is this just something that I did out of obligation or whatever? And so I changed how I ate. I changed how I spent my money, what I engaged with financially. Um, I increased my donations to causes that I care about and to individual people that I care about. And I decreased my spending in, big corporate blah, 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 whatever, or just for stuff, for things that I didn't need and frankly can't fit in my house. um, so I made a number of very specific changes that were very intentional. And along with that, and along with the pulling back my energy investment in my day job, it gave me all of these different avenues to invest in the things that really are important to me. And Umbrella kind of came out of that. And all the people I've met through that came out of that. And I'm going to toss it to AJ to talk more about that.
Well, that would be us, right? That would be,
Yeah.
um, I mean, you actually were um, working with Umbrella Alliance Australia before I came in. And I came in because Carol Jean was like, "Hey, you two need to meet," and and then all the stuff happened. But you, the thing is that you recognized that some change needed to happen in certain areas, and you practiced self awareness. And I think the thing that is fascinating to me is people say autistic folks aren't self aware. They have to work on being self aware. They have to go through, you know, hours and hours and hours of therapy, um,
Who says
in
that?
a day.
I'm
Well,
painfully self-aware.
that's just it. That's just it. But when you look at therapies that a lot of kids are
Yeah,
going through, and
yeah.
that some of the traditional ways that we've, been treated, Yes, treated, I'm using air quotes on that because, you know, we are very self-aware. It's funny to me that people say autistic folks are um, inside themselves. That's what it means to be autistic, very, self-oriented and inside the self. And at the same time, they can't recognize that that comes with a self-awareness. Now, obviously, I can't speak for everybody, and I think I really do speak a lot more for folks who are able to communicate in the neurotypical way that is expected. Um, those of us who can fully recognize that and say, okay, this is exactly what I do different, and this is what I need to change. Um, we once we can become aware of that, um, that is when we can start taking those masks off. A lot of people, you know, don't necessarily have that self-awareness that Jessica has had, and they haven't experienced the full burnout yet. It's that full burnout that gets you to the point where you're self-aware and you're able to identify the things that are upsetting to you, but not necessarily have put everything in order in comparison to, oh, this is because people want me to do it, not because I want to do it. And that's really the big key, I think, when we're looking at from burnout to fulfillment. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to change everything. And for those
Yes, please
folks,
don't burn all the ships.
right, and for folks who maybe have multiple neurodivergencies, that might be the way to handle things, and maybe that's how things have been handled in the past. It for me, it's burn it all down and start all over again, you
Oh,
know?
wash, rinse, and repeat.
Right? Or try
Right?
something completely different and fail at it and be upset, not recognizing how much you learned in the process, and then being able to take those things and put them together to build something new. Um, I you have to have that self-awareness. And I wish that people would have this self-awareness that I'm getting ready to say right now. Every moment of every day that you are trying to stay alive as a human being is work. Work is not just something that you get paid to do. It's not just a 9 to 5 job that you get paid to do. And if we could start looking at it, scientifically, when you look at the definition of work, you're expending energy. And what is energy? It's, movement from one thing to another. And we look at energy and we look at force and we start understanding these things from a scientific point of view. When you stop to self-care, again, I'm using quotes, and take a breath, that is intentional energy that you are spending to survive and to stay alive. That is work. And neurodivergent folks often have to spend more energy in the work that we do, whether it is in a paid job or whether it is in caregiving or volunteering or simply surviving. We expend more energy, and this is what leads us to that burnout. So when we can identify where we're spending energy, do like Jessica did and say, you know what, I'm spending energy here and that's not where I want to spend it. And I'm not going to spend it there anymore. These are the things that I love. These are the things that light me up. These are the things that give energy back to me. I'm going to spend some energy there. And
It's like
eventually, at some point,
investing in
understand that that
yourself.
is work. Yeah. The conversation that Jessica and I have all the time is she'll say, but I don't feel like this is work. And I'm like, but it is. But you are working. And she's like, no, I'm not. This is easy. This makes me so happy and this is wonderful. I'm like, yeah, and that's work. You just worked your ass off on that. And she's like, okay, well, I still don't see it.
But see, that to me is the difference. And all you unveilers that are listening, you just heard my favorite word come out of Jessica's mouth a little while ago, curiosity. Because, I'm always saying we have to get compassionately curious about us.
Yes.
And also allowing the uncomfortable experience to examine ourselves for the first time, for a lot of us. It's like we may be very aware of, painfully, viscerally aware of all this stuff, but we usually, I know for me, push it down, push it to the side because I'm not real sure what that is because I'm alexithymic and I hadn't identified what that feeling is yet. And there's a whole bunch of them and they're really big. So I'm going to push it down and I'll deal with that later, maybe. Maybe never comes, by the way, until it erupts. It's somewhere in there. But this is what I'm hearing. And I love this because what you're talking about when you love something you're doing, and Jessica, you're like, this is fun. This is play. This is energizing me. That is the difference between alignment and misalignment.
Yep.
And what you guys are talking about is that compassionate curiosity, that beautiful journey of just doing what I call an energy appraisal, figuring out what do you really like. And it's so crazy because I think I was completely floored in my early 40s when I first started this journey to kind of reclaim me or to claim me for the first time, if I'm going to be honest. I wasn't reclaiming anything because it never happened. I was claiming and establishing myself for the first time. And I was sort of ignorantly, blissfully going through. I didn't know I was in burnout. I just wanted to feel better. And I said, I want some journal prompts. Maybe that'll help me. And I found like 52 journal prompts to help you discover yourself. And one of the questions, and it's still to this day, I can think about it. It just blows my mind. One of the questions was, describe your perfect day. What do you like? Who do you want to be with? Where would it be? Money and time are no object, just dream. And y'all, I had never done that. I had never asked myself ever, what do I like? What do I enjoy? And it was through that one question, and it kept evolving. There were different iterations. I think I did those 52 journal prompts 2 or 3 years in a row. And it was interesting to go back and read, the evolution of me in this process of discovery. But I love that you guys are bringing in that journey to fulfillment is about compassionate curiosity. It's about pausing, and it's about recognizing that sometimes we're doing a lot of work in a lot of ways, but there's a different energy when it's aligned versus misaligned. Oh, you two powerhouses are just bringing the conversation today. So how does this lead us into finding interdependence? Like, define interdependence.
You
Jessica,
two,
you
you go.
want me to do
You go
this?
first.
Okay. I mean, interdependence is really about having safety in being able to be you, including the supports that you need to have the success that you decide you want. Not that somebody else decides you want, but being in an environment with other people who appreciate success as you define it and are there to support or enable you to have that success. And I think one of the things I am most proud of is I feel like I do provide that environment. And if I'm not providing that environment for somebody, I want them to tell me, because I don't believe in pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't believe that people should expend energy in when somebody else maybe has already expended all of that energy and now you have to go back and do it all yourself again. That doesn't make sense to me. Unless that's what you truly want to do. If you want to go through that discovery, fine. But if you don't and you'd rather expend energy on something else and moving forward, then this person who's already done that can maybe support you to meet your goal. And again, working with Jessica is just it's what we do. We do this for each other in um, the conversations that we have um, for Umbrella, but also for ourselves too, to make sure that what is happening in all of the work that we do, whether it's Umbrella US or whether it's something in our personal lives, whether it's fun and play, right? That's work. Fun and play is work too. It is an energy expenditure. Um, and we know and appreciate that we can depend on the other person to support us if we need that. And sometimes that support just looks like you don't have to feel bad about that. Take the night off, go play some games. That's what true interdependence looks like. And I feel like so many people, whether I was teaching, whether I was coaching, whether I was sex coaching, it didn't matter. People hold this guilt because they need support. But isn't that the linchpin of humanity? We need support. People think that if you're an adult in your prime, that you no longer need support. We are born as helpless beings. We die as helpless beings. Why are we not in need of support in all the times in between?
Because that package of food that we go buy at the grocery store magically appears. We are not interdependent on anyone.
Right,
Like
exactly.
we are surviving and thriving on our own. We do it all ourselves, and no one contributes to that at all. So
Right.
unless you are hunting, gathering, fishing, and doing all the things, you are interdependent in some way. But
Yep.
we tend to take on that belief that you're talking about. Like I mean, growing up in the 70s, I mean, there was this constant, whether it was said explicitly or if it was just implied or inferred along the way, that you have to be able to do all of this and survive on your own without any help. And if you need help, it means you're weak or you're doing it wrong.
Yep.
But Jessica, what is finding interdependence for you? And in the context of this conversation that we're talking about with work in particular?
Well, I think, I mean, I never had sorry, I'm going to cry again. I never had a work relationship with anybody like I have with AJ. And it's based on trust, right? Like, I trust that I can communicate with her in any way I need to at any time. And it's not that she's going to drop everything and run back and take care of something for me. But I know that that's a safe place to put a thing, to put a thought or just something I need to express. And I still don't feel, I don't know if I ever will feel that, I'm giving as much to her as she is given to me in our relationship. And, that's an evolution that she'll just tell me I'll have to get there, right? Like, because she keeps telling me this and I have yet to believe it. But that's a function of the lack of trust that I've experienced in workplaces in the past. Partly due to the, the story I told earlier. But I think in order to have a functional interdependent relationship that doesn't um, slip into codependence, you need to have trust and you need to have that self-awareness piece. You need to be able to communicate what it is that you're good at and what it is that you struggle with, and be willing to share that information in whatever format you need to, in whatever forum, and ask for help, because people will help you, right? It's not like people are unwilling to help. Um, in the community that I've been uncovering, I'll say, I mean, nurturing maybe too strong a word. I don't know. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn and I connect with a lot of people, and I'm, developing an army of weirdos and just people. I know, right? Um, and they're not all people that I'm ever going to be super close to. They're not all people I will even meet in real life. Some of them I do. I love meeting people in real life, but the point is, I put stuff out on LinkedIn like, God, I'm struggling with this today. Like, who's with me, or who has an answer, or whatever, and I get responses back, and that is so fulfilling to know that there is a community out there of people who, these might be easy things for them to answer, right? It's on the tip of their tongue. It's exactly what they do all the time. It's the thing they know front to back. But if I don't feel comfortable enough sharing that I don't know this and I would like to know it, not I'm looking for somebody to pick on me because I don't know something that you think is so easy. I don't get those answers back the same way that I used to. And I can assume that I'm taking responsibility for my part in that I have evolved in my communication skill, that I have gotten better at communicating, and I have gotten better at being able to trust that people are not just going to mess with me. If I say, hey, I feel really stupid about this right now, but I'm just not getting what the next step is here. Can somebody just tell me what the next step is? That's all I need. And then I'll carry on and I'll ask more questions if I need. And I've gotten a lot better with that, but AJ has helped me tremendously by being trustworthy, right? I feel like I am a trustworthy person as well. And I think trustworthiness and being able to trust and self-awareness are the three key pillars of building a strong, interdependent working relationship.
Oh, I wish I had one of those cheer buttons. Y'all have like activated the fact that I need a cheer button with like confetti to go off, because y'all have dropped some serious knowledge bombs through this conversation today. I love so very much how both of you have talked about interdependence, and that it's not nice to have, it's a must have. It's a must have. And
Absolutely.
interdependence isn't a lack of skills, it isn't a lack of strength. To me, interdependence is strength,
Hmm.
because we are stronger together. But those elements that you all mentioned, especially the trust element, and it's not just trusting other people, it's also that trusting of ourselves. And for me, that was a huge journey, just to get to a place where I would trust my own thoughts, feelings, ideas, and experiences. Because along the way in my life, people had said, Carole Jean, that's weird. Why are you doing that? Or why would you do it that way? That makes no sense. That is dumb. Or
Mhm.
you are doing twice the work. Why are you wearing yourself out? You could just do this because this was obvious. No, it was not obvious. And being able to share that we're struggling with something, or hey, I'm not really sure how to do this, and feeling like you can safely express that and trust that you're going to be supported and really given the success enablers that you need. So as we move into where do we go from here, you guys say it's building connections. Well, how the heck does somebody get started if they are in this place where like, I don't trust anybody? I am not dependent on a single solitary soul. I would love to be. I want some help. Where the heck do we start building connection?
Well, I mean, I'm going to vouch for LinkedIn as a great place to build connections. Um, for all of the drawbacks of social media, the thing that I like about LinkedIn is there there can be an assumption that there is some measure of accountability. That if someone goes on LinkedIn, they have to put their real name down there, their legal name, and if they work or if they have a career, or if they have an employer, that if they're a total jerk on LinkedIn, someone at their company might find out about it. And that amount of accountability, even that small bit, I think, is enough to keep people from behaving in really terrible, rude, cruel, bullying manner. That's not always true, but it's something, right? So I have thought of LinkedIn as a place to test, a place to push myself to say a little bit more or be a little bit more truthful about myself and about my views on things and about my skills and about the things that you know, that I find valuable about myself. Here's an opinion about something, and because my opinions are well thought out and well considered, if not always well communicated or well crafted, sometimes that's a work in progress. But by communicating my rough draft of the things that I'm thinking about, um, I'm attracting people. And they tend to be people who don't necessarily agree with me, but who understand and appreciate my thought process that I've gone through in honing, what it is that I'm putting out there. Um, and I think that sort of process is accessible to anybody. That's not to say that you should just go onto social media and start, saying whatever it is you want. There are risks involved in being too honest. There are risks involved in, putting yourself out there too much. Um, but if you consider those risks and take your baby steps and, test, like, this is the part of the curiosity thing, right? You're following your curiosity. Like somebody said, LinkedIn was a good place for me to try to build connections. So how might I go about doing that? How can I share little bits and pieces and then see what the reaction is? Take in the feedback that you get from the reactions that you receive from people and maybe try to do something a little bit differently, or check yourself, take a step back, like, oh, that opinion got people really fired up, and maybe I need to rethink like what I thought about this issue because people brought up some really good counterpoints. And so having those conversations, just the act of engaging in those conversations, helps build connection. And it can build connection across all kinds of divides. You don't have to um, have really strong political beliefs to get roped up into political conversations, and that happens on LinkedIn too. But just observing and engaging and testing and building your I don't want to say reputation because that sounds gross, but just engaging in the things that make you feel good and make you feel positive and yield back, positive feedback while still challenging yourself and challenging, what other people are saying. That really goes a long way, I think. So that's how I do it.
You are the super connector over on LinkedIn, no doubt. No doubt. So
And
AJ, if
my
you had
connections are open, so anybody wants to connect with me. I have a good
heck
time there.
yes, we will have it in the show notes so people can connect with you because conversations with you on LinkedIn are always stimulating, fun, engaging, and I truly appreciate the variety of perspectives and ideas that you bring to different things and the conversations you spark in the comments for a lot of those posts. I always enjoy that. So, AJ, if you had to say building connections, this is the one thing that I think makes a big difference when you're getting started. This is like the light lift. If this is something you've never felt comfortable doing, this is what I would recommend. What would you say?
I would say you got to find somebody who supports you. Find that interdependence. I don't go all over LinkedIn. I don't go and connect with somebody. Um, I don't have a lot of time, and it is a huge energy suck for me. Um, all of the words, just looking at that and just trying to decide where I want to spend my energy and what conversations I would like to engage in, it it just gets me at a full stop. Like I'm not somebody who can go on and spend hours on there. I can't even spend minutes on there. I just get overwhelmed really, really quickly. It doesn't matter how engaging the conversation seems. I get very overwhelmed really quickly with it. Um, and so I rarely participate in that. However, this is where I tell Jessica all the time the amazing work that she does because she does that on LinkedIn. She talks to people, she gets them connected with me, and then I can have a conversation with them. And that conversation might be a Zoom call, but it also might be asynchronous, which I prefer. And I know where I am good with people and I know where I'm not good with people. And where I'm not good with people is usually that initial impression, that first contact. I'm not good with people there. I'm not going to say the right thing. I'm not going to make an impression that makes somebody go, "Wow, this person's awesome and I want to know them more and I want to work with them."
For the record, I
However,
I'm
don't think I do
just
that
gonna
either.
say neither one of us agree.
but
So
but
here's the thing.
there's a reason for that though, and that's because we're very interested in the same things. Right? So then we can talk about, and I can focus on this one thing like, oh, I saw Carole Jean is interested in energy. Let's talk about energy. Of course, it's not like that with everybody.
Unfortunately, but hey, we'll just love on those what they those I don't know normie people, whatever they want to call themselves. Bless their hearts moments. Oh well, but that's I love that. That start with the interdependence, find your person. And I think that's one of the things that I love that you guys have framed it because you've got my brain whiz popping on different stuff. And that's what I love about both of you. I mean, first of all, my friend, our mutual friend Diane, introduced you and I about 2 or 3 years ago. And in the minute we met, I was like, oh, that's my person right there. This is all fun. And it's been ever since. And then I met Jessica and it's but really it is. I think what was interesting, like to go back to that safety and trust element, to find that person that you can be interdependent with, it really is this foray into to trust, but it's also this beautiful expansion of what you didn't even know was possible. Because look at us 3 years later. How beautiful was that interdependence that started with, I need somebody to talk about sex. and my friend Diane goes, oh, well, let me think about it for a minute. Then I get an email and she goes, you need to meet AJ. And I was like, okay. So I did. There's so many things that are not my strength, but I have found through conversation, through connection in ways that feel good to me, that feel good with other people, that I have people in my life like you guys. And that really has been life changing.
Yeah.
And I know that y'all are putting together some incredible things over at Umbrella US, and you have a quiz. Tell us about it and share where everybody can go check it out.
All right. This is, I would say right now at this moment, Jessica, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but this is our pride and joy. This has been something that, along with other board members, but Jessica and I have, this is where we've been doing a majority of our work over the last months, and including a trip up to Portland, um, where we got to really hang out for a week and really, just work hard on this. And this quiz, anybody can take it, um, but it's really made for employers. Now, of course, if you're not an employer, you can absolutely take it, and then you can take the results and go and talk to your employer. But it's taking some of the research project that we did with a doctoral student last year, that kind of built the foundation for how we work at Umbrella, how we work through with each other, and how we want to work with our volunteers, and then eventually when we do have employees, this is how we want to function based on all neurodivergent people coming together and saying, this is what we need to have a safe, neuro-inclusive workspace. And and so an organization can look at this and find out whether they need to step it up a little bit. They can see where they're doing things well, and they can see other areas where maybe they need a little bit of support. And then there are, resources available to support these organizations in those ways. Again, employees can take it. It's a great place to start a conversation.
I am so excited that you guys are doing this. And if you are interested in taking the quiz for your organization or making sure that the leadership in your organization takes this quiz, it's umbrellaus.org/quiz. You can get all of the information from there around Umbrella Alliance and how you can connect, support, and work with the incredible team there at Umbrella US. All right, my friends, one last question. This is like the lightning 30-second answer round. What's
Oh
the
no.
one thing? I know, right? What's the one thing? And we're going to start with Jessica. What's the one thing that you want someone who's listening today to know about connection and work?
Oh my God. Connection is vital to get the best work out of all people involved. So if you're an employer and you're not connecting to your employees, their morale suffers. They will go spend their time and energy elsewhere. You're wasting your resources if you are not figuring out how to connect to the people that you work with.
Ooh, that is quotable quote. AJ, same question to you.
I can't wait for the transcript of this episode. I really can't. Um, um, if you are someone who thinks that you are unable to connect, just know that while that feels true, there is a way that you can connect. You just haven't found it yet. And it's okay to reach out to us to explore that a little bit if you need that kind of support.
Ooh, the gold nuggets that we have collected through this conversation today. Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you so much, AJ. I appreciate you bringing your incredible insights and the research and the work that you're doing at Umbrella US. If you are interested in learning more, please go to umbrellaus.org. Thank you so much for joining us today on Beyond Chronic Burnout. I hope you feel energized and ready to take on the challenges ahead. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. Let's stay connected. Go follow me over on Instagram at Carole Jean Whittington, where you can join our Beyond Chronic Burnout channel for personal messages from me each week and subscribe to the podcast for more conversations and burnout insights. Together, we'll continue to break out of burnout and unlock our authentic selves. Until next time, this is Carole Jean Whittington signing off. Stay compassionately curious, my friends.
Thanks for being here. It's been quite a ride. Energy mastery, let's turn the tide. Top shelf guests, dropping wisdom bombs. Join us next week, where the energy's strong. Beyond chronic.